Welcome to Marketing Matters with Wheel Media. Today I have Amol with Patient Prism. Amol, we could not be more grateful that you could join us today. In my background as a leadership coach in this industry, going on several decades, I have always believed in the philosophy that when performance is measured, performance improves. And when performance is measured and reported back, the rate of improvement accelerates. And then to have seen this platform called Patient Prism just really put that entire concept on steroids, allowing instant feedback, relevant feedback to make a real difference in not just the service that we provide, but in the overall training effort that's happening in a medical office, in a dental office. That's one reason I've always been so excited about your technology. I've always been a believer, and to see what you're accomplishing. I mean, I saw you last year at Dicoma present. Oh my gosh, Amol, they didn't give you enough time. Your enthusiasm was just infectious, and I just wish I could have just sat there and listened to you for another hour or two, or the rest of the day. There's so much happening, and this is long overdue having you on this show. So would you begin maybe by telling everyone, assuming that there are some that don't know about Patient Prism, could you take us from the top, please?
Yeah. We got started in the AI journey. But by the way, thank you. We have been fans of Wheel Media for a very long time. I have known the team at Wheel Media for a very long time, and they are um, uh, super innovative. They're probably the winner of the Accelerant Award for the longest period of time in dentistry, and they've done incredible work. I know Ian has spoken at all these conferences, so we're fans as well. And thank you for having me on this podcast. 10 years ago, I asked my co-founder, could we teach Alexa how to understand dentistry? And that's began our journey in AI, 2015, a little longer than the AI hype of the recent times. And we said we wanted to solve fundamentally one thing. Why do patients not book an appointment? What's the reason, right? And we wanted to get more patients to book appointments on the phone, and we knew phone was a problem, right? And we built the first set of machine learning models that allowed us to understand who was calling the dental office. Were they scheduling or not scheduling? If they were not scheduling, why they weren't? And then we wanted to have an instant loop feedback to the dental clinics saying that here is the patient who wanted Invisalign, who wanted an implant, who wanted extra, whatever that was. Here's the why they didn't book an appointment. And go fix it. And go fix it. And so, for the first time in all of healthcare, there was an AI company in 2016
Mm-hmm.
that allowed dental practices, medical practices to actually have a second chance to make the first impression and call the patient back and give them new information to have them come back. To our surprise, what we started seeing is that almost 20 to 40% of these patients started coming back. Wowed by that. Oh my God, my healthcare provider cares about me. My dental dentist cares about me. They called me back and they really want me as a patient. And it started improving patient conversion rates. It started improving um, the effect of marketing on that. And because dentistry was moving to a direct to consumer industry over the last 20 years, today marketing is more important than ever before. You cannot have a successful dental practice without a B2C direct to consumer marketing strategy. And so the side effect of that was helping them even achieve better ROI on marketing because they were converting more patients. And so over the last 10 years, we have built better and better product that incorporates more. But I'll stop here. That's the journey is helping dental practices and now broadly medical practices to acquire more patients by eliminating barriers that sometimes these clinics created to make an appointment.
You began using AI before the rest of us had done anything more than just hear about AI up and coming, you were literally using it through Alexa.
Yes, and we had no precedence for it. We learned on the job. It doesn't mean we didn't make tons of mistakes. We made tons of them because we didn't know what we were doing in the beginning. I mean, and I still feel that every day. That we want to be better tomorrow than we were today. But it was a learning curve. It was not easy to figure out how to really impact practices.
The beauty of that exchange is being able to help a front desk professional literally solve a problem before anyone even really knows it's a problem, because there's such immediate feedback. That's the beauty of it for me, is you're giving them the tools to literally make a difference and change course before the doctor has to say, oh, we have a problem, we got to figure this out. They're they're empowered with the tools to do their job on a level that never existed before.
You make such a great point because it is not Big Brother watching.
Right.
What it is we are trying to coach and train some of the most underappreciated people in the healthcare industry, which are the front desk people. And we don't even, the front offices, the call center agents. It's a daily job, it's mundane, it's a lot of answering phone calls. And we want to provide them coaching and training to become their best selves, right? And it's facilitating their greatness, and we want them to win awards as a result of that. And we've implemented those gamification process in that, so that they are rewarded for delivering an exceptional patient experience that ensures, at first and foremost, that the patient is able to trust they have called the right place. They are going to get taken care of exceptionally well. The doctor is clinically um, equipped to handle their stuff. But at the same time, they're going to be treated with compassion and kindness, and it's going to be okay. We're going to make it affordable. They're going to make it easier for them to come in and really, change their life.
Yeah. Um, you mentioned the word gamification. Well, that brings back some memories. Back in the 80s, I actually was part of a group who had a CEO who wrote a book called The Game of Work. And some of my client experiences became case studies for that book. You have incorporated gamification into this platform, not just to make it more friendly, but because it's just kind of a natural byproduct of the data that it produces, the real live data more than just numbers, right?
Yeah, I mean, because what we wanted to do was not that just hit people in the head with all the mistakes that they're doing, but then reward them for the little things that they're doing. So I'll give you what we did is that, okay, well, one part of it was to tell them the called in schedule. But the second part of it, how do we coach and train all these receptionists and call center agents consistently on the best rubric of soft skills? So what we built this 14-point rubric of soft skills, like, did you say your name? Did you actively listen? Did you offer them financing? And did you make a strong effort to book an appointment? Did you offer any discount plans or financing options? Did you actually interrupt the patient in the middle? And we started recording those through AI too. We built, first and foremost, we built AI that allowed us to understand their voice and attribute them to the right person. So if you answer the phone, it'll, just by saying hello, the voice fingerprint would know that you answered the phone, or Mary answered the phone, or Joe answered the phone. Then we said we were going to create this rubric of best practices that we've learned on what it takes, what are the soft skills needed in order to earn patient trust. And we built those soft skills. We tested them over a period of time. After the first 25 million phone calls, we realized these are the 14 things that matter. And they have nothing to do with clinical dentistry. They have to everything to do with the ability for you to earn their trust. And so we graded each person on those skills using AI. Now I could say, Joe, you answered 100 phone calls from new patient calls last month. Um, but you did a great job at the beginning of the call. You actively listened. But when the patient had concerns about cost, you failed to provide them with like affordability options like discount plans. membership plans, financing options, or you do a great job, but at the end of the closing of the thing, you don't make a strong effort to close the deal. So, and then we started rewarding these agents on gamification points on when they adhered to the rubric. So now, when they did something right, when they actively listened, they got a point. When they offered a appointment, they got a point. And so all those things got them extra points. And then people's behavior started changing because now they were winning virtual kudos in terms of gamification point, and then they were associated with awards, like you are the callback kingpin, or you are the second chance superstar, and we start giving these names to these awards, and people start loving it because who doesn't like to be appreciated?
Right. Who doesn't like to be able to know that they made a difference or that they grew or improved on a daily basis, let alone on a call, each call?
Correct, correct, and that is the lesson I have learned is that it's not about the technology, and I am this technology CEO who's saying that. Right? It's the lesson I learned from all the gray hair in my business is what I learned was technology was simply a tool, a catalyst to make humans better. And AI is certainly that. But we've got to figure out the change management piece. We've got get the humans to embrace it in a way that makes them better at their art, but also makes them better at treating patients with the same consistent level of kindness and compassion that enables them to win patient trust. So I don't talk about a lot of AI today. What I talk about is how do we win trust? Because that's the foundation of everything.
I'm very sensitive to these two dynamics that we see play out every day of humanizing and dehumanizing individuals. But you would think that when someone talks about AI and my phone call is going to be monitored and I'm going to be getting all these suggestions, it sounds like we're dehumanizing the experience when in fact the opposite is true. You're literally increasing and improving the communication, which is what makes it all work.
It's so true, right? We are here, and I speak at a lot of AI stages across the country, and I talk about the role of AI for humanity is to give humanity an upgrade. And what that means is it gives humans more time to spend with other humans, build better relationship with other humans. Sometimes it takes away the mundane work that we're doing so that we have more time to spend with our patients. Like, there's lots of AI being out there, but that's the job. It's not to take away jobs from humans. It's not to like take away the fulfillment that we get from our work. It's to give us more fulfillment in work so that we can actually spend time talking and breaking bread over dinners and having offsite meetings and getting ourselves more connected with each other while AI does some of the work that humans would have taken. It would have not been very fulfilling.
Well, imagine a consultant trying to listen to all of those calls and make suggestions on what you should say and not say, and the time involved in that, and the message that's sent. Because I'm going to grade you, I'm going to evaluate your performance, and it's certainly not going to be up to standard, or I don't have a job as a consultant. All of that. What you've done is create AI that enhances the human experience, and the patient responds to that.
In all of healthcare, patients don't know how skilled their doctor is, right? Nobody, they don't know, right? But every human knows how they're made feel like. I know how you make me feel. That's the easy thing to do because that's all humans are. The famous saying that you always remember how somebody made you feel. Right? You always remember that. The people in my life that I remember the most vividly are the ones that made me feel good. And that's what healthcare needs to be. We need to make our patients feel good and eventually feel good, not just mentally, but physically as well. And that's the privilege. That's the privilege that we have to be in healthcare. We get them to make them feel good and healthy. And that's really the job.
Based on my experience, those practices that are most successful have the individuals that interact with patients that the patients respond to and feel better for having had that exchange, that experience, wherever it was, eye doctor, ophthalmology, or dentist, doesn't matter. That's how critical having a high performance work team really is in any medical or any office setting at all. It's that human element, that human touch that will make all the difference on whether or not that patient is going to be willing to schedule and become more a part of what you're offering, what you're attempting to do, or just schedule an appointment.
100% agree. But guess what? So we did this, right? We did this. We focused on humans getting better on the phones. But then 7 years into the business, we realized that we're missing something. And what are we missing? Well, we want to make sure that, you know, we want to make sure that we also look at marketing and its role, its important role in patient acquisition. So we said we need to make sure that we are connecting AI to the marketing platforms. We built integrations with Google Ads, with Meta Ads, with Bing Ads, with Google Analytics to make sure that when patients were calling, the right conversion actions were being reported into the ad platforms. And we wanted to measure marketing as well, right? Because marketing was driving leads and lead qualification, lead quality, lead quantity was important. And what if we could put AI on top of the lead generation efforts and give marketing folks a better visibility into the quality and the quantity of leads? And we started partnering with CMOs, with marketing agencies like you guys to say, hey, well, AI is going to now not only look at the calls, but it's also going to look at marketing and see what kind of leads are coming in into the first place, right? And that was very important for us because as marketing becomes table stakes for every healthcare organization, dentistry, veterinary, optometry, plastic surgery, and then you name it, right? If you think marketing is not relevant today to you, you are living under the stone or you have your head in your sand. It's super important. And we said AI plus marketing technology. If you combine that, we're going to drive better leads. We're going to optimize our campaigns better. And that was a very big pivot we did 3 years ago. We kind of relaunched our product in that way so that we can support the marketing organization and the agency partners we had to ensure that, leads, we're monitoring the leads and those leads are going to the right place into the ad platforms so that marketing could be optimized too.
That's one reason why we have such a great appreciation for this technology, because we know as a marketing company, we know how to make the phone ring. We know what it takes to make the phone ring, and we can track that result. But as soon as the phone is answered, if it is at all, that's where everything goes sideways. And you put an entire blanket over that whole process to make sure it happens the way it should, and there's a very subtle accountability without it being dehumanizing like we were talking about.
100%. What we also learned was that if marketing is doing a job driving leads in and the receptionist or the agent is picking up the phone, sometimes the patient still cannot get in. And we said, "Oh, is there another thing that we AI could measure that is beyond the marketing and the sales realm?" And what we found out is yes, it's the operation. So imagine Weo Media drives a nice Invisalign lead into your dental practice, right? The person at the front does all the things right using the rubric that we've told them to use, right? They did all these things right. But then they said, oh, well, our next available appointment today is March, right? Is in May. Well, all right. Well, what happened now? What happened now?
That's beyond the control of the front desk,
That's
isn't it?
beyond the control, right?
Yeah.
So we started using AI to measure things like these. Okay, how far booked out are you? Is the reason why the patient didn't book has to do with your capacity and not with anything else? Or does it have to do with their insurance? Or does it have to do with affordability? Or maybe we don't even offer that service. And so we created a list of 7 different things that are operationally important to tell the dental practice or the medical practice that, hey, we're driving all these patients, but 30% of them are not booking because you have no room on the schedule. You're sending them so far out in the stratosphere that they're not going to come, right? Because people these days don't have the patience to wait that long.
We want what we want when we want it.
And correct, and rightfully so. We have such little time, and let's say, you know, we have decided to call a doctor's office, a dental office, and we have decided to make an appointment. That takes a lot of effort, mental effort, because we try to avoid things, right? Unless things are super broken. So we're trying to take care of ourselves, and then all of a sudden somebody says, "I can't see you till May," and we're in February. How does that make us feel? Well, I'm going to call the next person. And then let's say you've driven that lead. It cost you, let's say, $150 to drive that lead in, or $200 to drive that lead in. You've trained your receptionist, you've trained them, you pay them money. All that cost that goes into all that process, poof, gone, because you have no capacity. So what we do now is every month we'll have a call with our clients and saying, guys, here's how we grow. Your growth stands at the intersection of marketing, sales, and operations. And we need to make sure all of those things are tied up properly, because it's pointless to say, oh, well, I'm not growing, so my marketing is not working. How do you know that?
Which often gets blamed for not sending the patients when you've been turning them away all this time, and without AI or without a tracking system to measure that, but no one knows the truth. I'm still amazed today how many times I hear of a dentist who is investing in any measure of marketing at all for a patient to call who cannot get in today if they have an emergency, or can't get in tomorrow or this week. That just amazes me that they think that their capacity should be able to compensate for their lack of scheduling.
I'll give you a stat. 33% of emergency patients cannot get in. 33. Okay. And guess what? Usually when you have a dental emergency, there is more things wrong in your mouth than just that emergency, right? And so there is a lot of treatment there. um, a lot of people with emergencies have larger things like periodontal disease. They need a lot more work done. And on an average, we had a large client did a study on emergencies, and they said on an average an emergency patient will spend 30% more than a non-emergency patient. And so we have in Patient Prism a specific feature called appointment priority. So in real time, you know what patients were emergencies and what patients were non-emergencies, and you immediately know how many emergencies did you schedule and not schedule, and you also know why not. Was it because you had no room? Was it because some other reason? So that was a great point.
That's excellent, because it's all a matter of how they schedule. That's a technique that can be changed in how they schedule in order to accommodate that new patient emergency, rather than just treat them as an inconvenience. They're not.
And sometimes it's a process issue, right? Sometimes we just have to create a process where we have the right scheduling blocks to accommodate things like emergencies or even high value patients, right? Let's say you have a patient who calls once a full arch a treatment, which is $40,000 to $50,000, and they've called you, and let's assume you have no availability for the next 2 weeks. What should you be doing if somebody wants to spend $50,000 with you guys? Should you make them wait 2 weeks or not? Or should you say, I'm going to accommodate you this Friday? Uh, we'll figure out, come out in at 8:30. We start 9, but we'll start you at 8:30. Get all the stuff done, get you qualified, make sure you need it. We're going to get your exam and x-ray done. We're going to send you, we have clients, we'll send you an Uber to pick you up, right? And tell me if you tell them that, right? This Friday, we're going to send you an Uber to pick you up, and we're going to take good care of you. Our doctor's going to come half an hour early. or we're going to come half an hour early to make sure we get all your stuff done. So by the time doctor comes in, we have no availability, but we want to make sure we take care of this for you right now. And that's the power. That's the power of what this can do. And how do we prioritize? The other thing that's relevant in dentistry, at least, is that we have a severe shortage of providers. We have a severe shortage of hygienists and dentists, right? In other industries too, we have a shortage of physical therapists. We have a shortage of veterinarians. We have a shortage of plastic surgeons. Now, in order for us to maximize our potential of earning, we have to make sure that we've got it, and we have only so many hours in a day. Like, how do we maximize that? So, Patient Prism, part of its new feature set, allows these organizations to prioritize patients also based on, oh, what's the potential of this patient? Emergency is important, but what about somebody who's a high value patient? How do we prioritize them to make sure that we don't lose them to a competitor? And that's that. And so we help them do that as well, is prioritizing patients who need emergent help, but also need high value services that we provide that are super profitable to us, but also impactful to the patient.
That with that data, you're able to ask the right questions. And those questions, among those questions, are the important questions such as, Doctor, how long do you think a patient worth this much, a patient that's an emergency patient, should be waiting in order to see you? Without those questions, you can't make the changes necessary to improve your practice or grow.
You're so right.
Yeah.
When the doctor asks the question, or I ask the question, the doctor, how long would you like a patient on emergency to wait? And the doctor usually says, well, I don't want them to wait.
Yeah. But what do you mean wait? What do you mean wait?
What do you mean wait? Well, doctor, um, based on the patient prism data, we're seeing you're making these emergency patient wait 2 weeks. Well, then the doctor says, well, what can we do about that? Well, let's sit down and talk. Could we create an additional scheduling block in to accommodate for emergency patient? Should we put them on a new column that will allow you to see them and squeeze them in? Well, that makes a lot of sense. Let's talk to our team. And now all of a sudden, we're all working together and figuring out how to improve access to care. Same thing happens with high value patients. If somebody says, I'm calling in, I need multiple implants. Implants are 5,000 a piece. Right? So 10,000. So I asked the question to the doctor. We've got patient who potentially is worth at least $10,000. You don't have any room for the next 3, 4 weeks. Would you like them to wait? You have spent an X amount with WEO Media to drive them in. Our agent has done a fantastic job trying to accommodate their schedule, but we just can't. What would you do? And the doctor says, Mole, maybe I'll work through lunch and see them. Or maybe I'll wait a little longer to see them. Or maybe I'll come in a little early to see them. Guess what that did? Number one, it took care of the patient's needs. Number one. Number one, that's the most important thing in need. Number two, it ensured you're meeting your goals for the practice. And it's ensuring you're meeting your goals. And so we can have our cake and eat it too. All we have to know is what questions to answer.
With the data now available and the immediate training that this platform represents, doesn't this represent a threat to any consultant, any dental consultant that's attempting to help a practice make these changes? Can't they? Aren't they just making changes faster and more relevant without someone like a consultant or a coach telling them what they need to do? How does a consultant fit into this process, or do they really become irrelevant in patient prism?
No, actually, consultants become even more relevant because they can actually focus on the change management piece, which is even more important, right? They can then focus on what happens is consultants are trying to change some behaviors, and AI is not going to change any behavior. AI is just going to give them information to say, "Hey, here's what's going on," but somebody still has to do it, right? So the consultants can take our data and actually say, all right, well, here's all the challenges. We have some challenges on the marketing front, we have some challenges on the call front. Sometimes we have the operations front. Let's now take all this data and make a plan. And it's easier to get buy in when the data is objective and unbiased. AI is not an opinion. AI is just math at the end of the day. It's math. So the consultant now is equipped with data and intelligence and insight and even foresight. But all that insight and foresight is of no good if the practice cannot do anything about that. So now the consultant goes in and says, here's how I'm going to help you operationalize AI within your practice or your organization. And it is the Achilles heel. If people think AI is going to be automatically raining money, patients in your practices, they're at fault. It's not going to do that. The people component of that is important. So single practices where there's agent coaches coming in, they play a great role in operationalizing it. In large organizations, they have vice presidents and all these different people that kind of take on the role as a consultant and a coach in operations as well. And they are helping get AI operationalized within their teams so that they're using it to do it. So it makes the consultants or the coach's job a little easier because it allows them to get the buy in from the teams.
Not to mention, they're able to see more faster, right? And if they can see more data in real time, they can actually make a difference faster on behalf of their clients. That makes sense because ultimately it's still a behavioral issue. Someone may be able to see what they're saying wrong, or the doctor may be able to see that we have a problem with capacity, but we still have to create a plan, and there still has to be some measure of accountability on how we're going to fix that. And that's where the consultant coach really comes in because they may not know how to fix that themselves. They may not have the right conversations or the right settings in order to meet that need internally to make those management changes.
Yeah. Because again, the other part of that consulting role is, at least in smaller groups, with larger groups, is the operations team is to, okay, well, when the patient came in, we booked an appointment, but we still have to diagnose them. We still have to get the treatment accepted. We still have to do billing for them. We still have to collect the money. So there's more to it in the patient journey than just booking the appointment. So that's another important role. Is the whole patient journey is important. AI is a tool that helps you understand where the patient stops from moving forward, but we still need to get the patient moving forward, and we need humans to do that.
It comes back to the human element of making it happen. I know of another AI technology that is growing as fast as you are, that did a survey with hundreds of practices through the office managers and determined that one of the greatest initiatives as a goal for this year is to incorporate AI and greater technology into their workflows in order to save time, reduce stress, and all the above. And yet, and yet, in that same study, what they see is that they're not spending the time implementing AI. They're just going about working in the business. Reminds me of that book, The E Myth. I'll bet you love that book.
Yes.
It fits dentistry so well because ultimately the dentist is the technician who became the owner, right? And that's what a business really is. And they forget to spend the time working on the business instead of just working in the business. Do you experience any of those challenges, Amol, in trying to help practices implement this, or is it easier to implement than other technologies?
Well, any new thing is hard to implement. Uh, Dental offices are busy seeing patients, answering phone calls, checking them out, calling insurance companies. Um, we thought about this problem a lot. Is that how do we get people to use yet another tool, right? So we invested a lot in our client success teams to make sure that they are supporting our clients to achieve success, right? And so we spend a lot of time building relationships with our clients, getting them the data that they need, training them on a continuous basis to make sure they understand what's going on, motivating them, encouraging them, inspiring them to improve. And that's a critical piece of why we've done well in the space is we care about our client success. And part of that is we have humans on our end talking to humans on our client's end to make sure that the AI is being utilized appropriately to deliver the best patient experiences and the best financial outcomes.
So you're able to see, obviously, what practices have implemented the technology, but are perhaps not using it as fully as they could or should in order to see the results you know they would if they were more engaged. And you're able to act on that. This is more than just buying a platform and let us know if something doesn't work and pay me every month.
No, no, it is very much, we're very invested in our client success. And that's without that, every platform fails because otherwise it's just another product. It's pretty charts, fancy jargon, AI. Everybody needs AI. But if we don't know how to grow our clients' businesses, we shouldn't be in the business of doing what we're doing because at the end of the day, AI doesn't matter. What matters is how am I giving you the right insight and foresight to drive better patients into your platform, to drive more profitable patients into your platform, and ultimately to move the needle in a way that you want the needle to be moved. That's my job at Patient Prism. It's not my job to give you AI. My job is to help you achieve your goals, help you get your same store growth, improve your profit margins, train your people, inspire them to be motivated to do their best job, and really, really be a partner in your success.
We share that value. We share that value. At Dykema, I could see that you were beginning to extrapolate data from a case study perspective that was so clear on proving the point that someone who invests in Patient Prism can produce more and accomplish more faster than if they didn't have the platform. I would love to hear more about, and I'm sure our listeners would like to know more about some of the case studies or what you know and can prove today that if somebody begins using this, what impact will this have on them almost immediately?
I'm going to actually pull something that we recently did that I'm going to basically, it's on my fingertips, but it's important. I think you're right. It is important to know what we've done. So some of the recent 2024 stories we've seen on the marketing side, um, clients reduce their patient acquisition cost by 20 to 40% right away. We have seen them decrease the cost per booking an appointment by 30%. We've seen them increase new patient conversions by 25%. More new patients seen by 25% without spending any more money on marketing. We've seen them on the operations side reduce their missed call rate from 35 to 15%. We've seen them recover 44% of calls that didn't schedule an appointment but come back on the second attempt. Our largest client has recovered up to 45,000 patients using that second attempt system. On an average, our clients are seeing anywhere between 15 to 20% increase in new patients scheduled. We're seeing them add anywhere to low end six figures to high end, a little higher six figures of production added to their practices with kind of an ROI that ranges between 15 and 45x. And that's happening fairly quickly within a short period of time, provided they're going to actually use the system. It doesn't happen automatically, but One client actually reduced cancellations by 15% because our AI figured out as soon as the cancellation happened, we notified them like, "Hey, patient canceled, but you didn't reschedule them." And immediately they found out that cancellations were happening at a high pace. And then they created new training to offer patients an opportunity to reschedule and not just cancel an appointment. So as a result, over a 3 month period, cancellations went down by 15%. Another client, we saw, remember I was talking about the high value patients?
Yeah.
Once they found out, we told them that 40% of their, so there's, although they were scheduling 85% of their patients, only 44% of orthodontic patients were getting scheduled. So the schedule rate for orthodontics was 44%. Overall schedule was 85%. So what does that mean? That means we don't have any room on the schedule for orthodontic patients. So now they decided to create a new scheduling block for orthodontic, anybody who needed clear aligners and braces. And all of a sudden they saw increased number of orthodontic patients by 25% just by creating a scheduling block that says if somebody calls, wants Invisalign, one of those clear aligners, we have a spot for them every day. And all of a sudden, we're booking more. We're not spending more, but we're booking more.
Wow. Yeah. With that data, you're able to make the decisions on increasing capacity and get really creative. Sometimes it's just an extra column, it's not an extra chair. It's the way we are able to envision and treat that appointment to increase our capacity. That's a great example.
And that is the power. The power is not we showed them really pretty charts.
If I was ever going to consult again, I don't think I would ever work with a practice that did not have Patient Prism. Everything else would be too much heavy lifting. When you have the data and the training available at every phone call, to have that available every time the phone rings, whether it's answered or not, is data you have to have as a consultant, as a coach, to do your job if you're going to do it well.
Agree. And you know, we continue to innovate. We continue to find new ways to figure out what can we do more, right? Can we text them right away? And we have that available if we don't answer the call. Can we offer them an online scheduling opportunity if we don't have time to answer it? You know, and so that whole nurture process is the continuous evolution of our platform. We're launching uh, a new AI agent that could handle some of the calls automatically and talk to the patient if we don't have the opportunity to answer it ourselves. So that's coming out in April. That will actually answer phone calls on behalf of the client, know what to say, know how to answer most questions. And if the patient is ready to book an appointment, book it directly in the practice management system without even a human involved in the process.
And will the patient even know that they weren't being addressed?
In 2025, they will know. Eventually, it get better. It's not there yet. It's getting better. It's getting better. But you know what? I would rather have them talk to somebody than leave a voicemail. And that's our goal, right? Our goal is incremental changes. Is it going to be perfect? No, it won't, right? It would it be better than leaving a voicemail or hanging up? Yes, 100%. Because now, and we're building an agent that's smart enough to understand the nuances of that practice so that they can they can answer most questions and not leave the patient frustrated.
Incredible. If this works so well for the medical industry, why wouldn't this work for any office where someone is answering a phone and attempting to address rather complex questions in order to schedule that customer? Is there going to be a customer prism at some point?
Yeah, there is. We just haven't focused on it yet, but we've got a lot of inquiries from all sorts of industries that want you to use the same technology in other industries like roofing and plumbing and apartments and car dealerships.
And legal offices and other offices that are small based but deal with the same routine, for the most part, the same type of questions, each with each call.
100%. I no, I appreciate this. I mean, We know we can impact a lot. We think healthcare is a great opportunity because it does both things, right? It improves patient health, it improves financial outcomes, and that's a really great place for us to be.
It is. One last question that is, it, based on my experience, the DSO movement seems to be better positioned to treat dentistry more like a business rather than the way we have historically done so in dentistry, as though marketing or technology investment is something that we can't afford or can't justify or try to get by without spending any more money than we have to. I would think that DSOs view this more as a cost of doing business rather than any kind of a, I don't know, frivolous technology that may or may not work. I'll bet your experience with them is on a completely different level, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the one thing DSOs are trying to do is really improve access to care. And what they're trying to do in the most sincere way, yes, they're running a business, but they're really trying to take away everything from a clinician that's not clinical. That's what a support organization is, right? Take away everything and then let doctors be doctors. DSOs are not in the business of telling doctors what to do clinically. Right? What they're doing is they're providing support services that are non clinical in nature that allow the doctor to perform best at their art, which is what they went to school for, which is treat the patient. And that's why the industry is really growing a lot because when you take away everything that's non-clinical and provide all the support needed to the doctor to perform at their best level, it's a winning combination. And that's really the why this industry is really becoming a great way for doctors to see more patients, and it's going to improve access to care beyond anything that we've ever seen before.
And that is a beautiful vision because too many viewed the DSO movement as a way to homogenize dentistry and simply make greater profits by grouping and doing more volume. And that was an approach that some have taken, but that's not a long-term success plan, in my opinion. And DSOs are, I think, very aware of the difference. The vision you just outlined is really what I envision for the future.
It is my client. I talk to the CEOs of every DSO on a routine basis, and they're not talking about profits and margin. They're talking about how do we improve access to care? How do we support our doctors, right? How do we support our doctors better so they can be their best selves? Nobody talks about, oh, let's make the most amount of money. That's not that. It's always about how do we support our clinicians to perform at the highest level of their license. How do we support them in every possible way so they can be the best clinicians? It's never about anything else other than that. And I can vouch that because I directly hear from the horse's mouth. I directly hear from them all the time. And it's a true statement.
That's my finding as well. Amol, thank you for your time. This has been such a wealth of information. Wheel Media is all about sharing the best practices with our customers and our prospects that will help them grow. We're all about growth. Anything that will help them grow, we're interested in passing it along and investing time in to make that happen. Amal, you're just a pioneer in the industry. You really are. Thank you for taking AI to a whole new level before anyone knew what AI could do. That's exciting.
Thank you again for having me. And feel free to reach out to us, follow us. We produce a lot of content on LinkedIn. Follow me personally. Um, Anything we can do to help you guys, figure out how to grow better. We're here to help, whether you use us or not. We're passionate about dentistry a lot. It's given me all my friends, and I genuinely adore this industry that has such a profound impact on patients' lives.
Wonderful. Thank you, Amal.
Thank you.